Welcome to today's deep dive. Before we really get into it, we wanted to quickly recommend Hui Wang's A History of China book series. You can find it on Amazon, available as both ebook and paperback. The latest volume actually takes you all the way up to the Tang Dynasty. Honestly, if you're looking for a really insightful perspective on China's past, it's a great addition to your library. Essential, really.
Yeah.
Okay, so recommendation done. Let's talk about today's main topic, Meta's, incredibly aggressive strategy to rebuild its AI capabilities. We've all heard bits and pieces, but the scale of this push is something else. We're talking Mark Zuckerberg, the CEO, personally reaching out, sometimes using WhatsApp apparently, and offering these, frankly, massive signing bonuses. Reports are saying potentially up to $100 million.
Yeah, the figures are staggering.
This isn't just, normal recruiting. It feels like one of the most intense Silicon Valley talent wars we've seen in a good while. Let's try and unpack it.
Exactly. And you have to understand the context, the urgency for Meta. It really stems from a major misstep with Llama 4.
Right, Llama being their big language model family.
Precisely. Before Llama 4, Meta had, really carved out this position as the leader in open source AI. Llama 1, 2, and 3 were huge.
They were everywhere, kind of the Android of AI, like some people called it.
That's the perfect way to put it. A genuine open source alternative to, say, OpenAI or Google's models. But Llama 4... well, it just didn't meet expectations. Not even close, really, both in performance and, crucially, in how developers could actually use it.
So it wasn't just a technical glitch. It sounds like it damaged their standing.
Oh, significantly. It really shook confidence in the AI community.
Okay, so not just a minor hiccup then. Can you break down how it disappointed people?
Yeah.
What were the specific failures that triggered this aggressive turnaround from Meta?
Yeah, there were a few key things. First, it just lacked the advanced reasoning capabilities everyone is expecting. That's pretty critical now.
Right. Table stakes almost.
Almost, yeah. Developers were also looking for AI agent features, models that can take actions, and Llama 4 didn't really deliver there either. But maybe the biggest blow, especially for their core open source users, was abandoning the smaller models.
Ah, the ones people use for lighter applications. Like on phones or laptops.
Exactly. Meta used to offer this whole range, small, medium, large, very versatile. Llama 4 just came out with medium and large versions. That left a huge hole for developers who relied on those efficient, smaller models. And then there were even these accusations floating around about brushing the list, basically, using inflated data metrics, which, if true, obviously doesn't help their image.
Wow.
So yeah, it wasn't just one thing. It felt like a strategic miscalculation that really pushed away their community.
That really does sound like pulling the rug out from under that Android of AI image. How badly was their reputation hit? And I guess who stepped in to fill the gap? Because that sounds like a huge opportunity.
You're absolutely right. It was a major blow, reputation-wise. And it created this strategic vacuum. And competitors, they jumped right in, companies like DeepSeek and Kinuan.
Relatively new names, right?
Newer, but moving incredibly fast. They immediately started offering that full spectrum of open source models, everything from tiny, 0.6 billion parameter models.
Okay, so really small and efficient.
Right, up to really powerful 70 billion parameter ones, covering all the bases Meta had abandoned. And what's really telling is how quickly they're attracting top AI teams, especially in China. A lot of groups there are rapidly switching away from Llama now.
That is a big shift, particularly in China's AI scene, which is so competitive. Are we seeing other ripple effects there? Maybe companies that were previously more closed source changing their tune.
Definitely. It's like the ground is shifting under everyone's feet in China. You've got Minimax, for example, releasing a pretty strong open source reasoning model recently. Kimi, another big player, is also leaning much more into open source.
Interesting.
And maybe the biggest surprise, Baidu. Their CEO, Robin Lai, had been quite, let's say, skeptical about OpenAI in the past. But now they've open sourced their latest model, Wangxingyan 4.5.
Wow, okay. That really shows the pressure.
It really does. It underlines how the whole competitive landscape has changed. And, while all this external pressure was building, things weren't perfect inside Meta either. There were whispers about internal challenges.
Like what?
Well, things like Jan LeCun's more theoretical focus, maybe being a bit disconnected from the immediate product needs. And even struggles for resources like Llama training, potentially competing with the metaverse division for precious computing power.
Ah, the compute crunch. That makes sense.
Yeah, so it was kind of a perfect storm brewing, both externally and internally, made this big shakeup almost inevitable.
A perfect storm indeed.
Oh.
So faced with all that, How did Zuckerberg and Meta respond? Was it just about throwing money around, or is there a bigger strategic play here to claw back their position?
Well, the message from Zuckerberg is loud and clear. Meta is not okay with falling behind, and their response is definitely aggressive. Look at the Scale AI deal. They bought a 49% non-voting stake in this unicorn AI company.
Scale AI, right? The data labeling giant.
Exactly, for $14.3 billion. And they brought the founder, Alexander Wang, into the fold specifically to help build out this new AI team. That's a huge move.
$14 billion for a stake. Wow.
And that's not all. They've been actively trying to acquire whole AI teams outright. Reports say they went after the startup founded by OpenAI's former CTO, Mira Murati.
Mira Murati, right. Big name.
Huge name. And also Elir's SSI, another project linked to an OpenAI founding team member.
And did those work out?
Apparently not. Reports suggest both attempts failed.
Right.
But it shows their ambition. They want top-tier established teams.
It really does paint a picture of this, ruthless recruiting war. Zuckerberg himself sending DMs on WhatsApp. That's direct. Imagine getting that notification, a message from Mark Zuckerberg trying to hire you.
It's pretty wild, isn't it? Almost surreal. And using WhatsApp is key here.
Why WhatsApp specifically?
Because Meta owns it, obviously, but also functionally. Unlike some platforms like WeChat, maybe, where you might need to be contacts first, WhatsApp often allows direct messaging without that initial connection.
So it cuts through the usual barriers, makes the surprise offer land right in their inbox.
Exactly. Very impactful. And there's a clear strategy behind Zuckerberg getting personally involved. He's not just trying to hire individual coders.
He's going after leaders.
Leaders who can bring entire teams with them. That's the real prize. It's a classic Silicon Valley playbook, actually. Think back to Tencent. They didn't just poach engineers from Huawei. They famously hired away Huawei's HR people to get the inside track on talent.
Smart. Or ruthless, depending on your view.
Or Shengda, another big Chinese tech firm, apparently used to get InnovationWorks employees business cards and then just offered double or triple salary. So landing someone like Mira Murati or Elir's team wouldn't just be one hire. It would potentially unlock a whole pipeline of talent straight from OpenAI. A massive shortcut.
Okay, so this intense poaching must be causing waves at OpenAI. What was their first reaction? Was Sam Altman's comment, "Our best people haven't left"? Was that confidence or maybe putting on a brave face?
Yeah, initially Altman did try to project confidence with that line, "Our best people haven't left."
Yeah.
You can only imagine the internal reaction to that, right? Both from those staying and maybe those thinking of leaving.
Sure. A bit awkward, perhaps.
Perhaps. But as more people actually did leave, OpenAI's posture seemed to shift. They started rolling out countermeasures.
Like what? More money.
That's part of it. Reviewing salaries, offering more stock options, definitely, but also encouraging people to take time off, maybe to combat burnout. And they've really leaned into emphasizing their core mission, building AGI, artificial general intelligence, positioning it as something more profound than just being stuck in an endless product race, as they put it.
Interesting pivot. Focus on the long game. That phrase, endless product race, feels very real, though. It sounds exhausting. Is that just the nature of the AI beast right now? Or is OpenAI genuinely trying to carve a different path?
It's probably a bit of both. I mean, OpenAI has had this incredibly demanding release schedule, major stuff expected almost monthly. That definitely takes a toll.
I remember that 12-day launch thing last December. Didn't that get mixed reviews?
It did. A lot of effort, but many felt it kind of fell flat, didn't deliver enough substance. And meanwhile, you have competitors like DeepSeek just dropping impressive models, setting a really fast pace. So OpenAI seems to be trying to find a balance now between that urgency and, sustainability, avoiding complete burnout. And this whole situation really highlights Meta's advantage in this current fight compared to how OpenAI used to recruit.
How so?
Well, OpenAI used to attract talent, especially from Google, using its high valuation and the promise of its stock becoming valuable someday.
The pre-IPO dream.
Right. But Meta's offers now are described as harsher because, Meta's just much bigger financially. Market cap around $1.2 trillion versus OpenAI's valuation, maybe $300 billion.
Huge difference.
Massive. And Meta's stock is public, it's liquid, employees can sell it easily. OpenAI shares still tied up in a complex structure with a nonprofit arm, uncertain path to an IPO.
So Meta's offering concrete cash and liquid stock, versus potential future value.
Exactly. Much more tangible, much more immediate. It makes their offers very hard to refuse. It puts OpenAI in a tough spot. Remember those stories about Sam Altman even considering moving OpenAI to Bali, partly to escape Silicon Valley poaching?
Right, I do remember that. Shows how long this has been a pressure point.
Absolutely. So now OpenAI is trying hard internally, having one-on-one talks with employees who get Meta offers. They even send out an internal memo recently emphasizing fairness in promotions, basically telling people not to use outside offers as leverage for internal advancement.
Trying to stop the bidding wars internally.
Trying to regain some control, yeah. It's a clear sign they're feeling the heat.
So zooming out again, this whole Meta recruitment drive, it's happening against the backdrop of just ferocious AI competition generally. And as you said, it's not just about hiring smart individuals anymore. It's about getting whole teams.
Exactly.
People who have that deep knowledge, the practical know-how to build these huge models, deploy them, figure out the strategy, basically everything you need to stay ahead.
But here's the critical question for Meta, right? Even if they succeed in hiring all this amazing talent, is that enough? Will acquiring the best players actually work if Meta itself can't get its overall AI strategy aligned?
What are the big uncertainties there?
Well, several things. Do they stick with open source now that they aren't the clear leader anymore? That's a big one.
Yeah.
How do they actually integrate these advanced AI agents they want to build into Facebook, Instagram, WhatsApp? That's not trivial. And the elephant in the room, the metaverse. Do they keep pouring resources into that? Does that continue to create conflict for compute power and talent with the AI divisions?
These internal battles can really slow things down.
They absolutely can. You know, you could draw a parallel to Google's early AI efforts. They were kind of fragmented, different teams doing different things. It wasn't until they really consolidated around the Gemini project that they seemed to regain focus and momentum.
So clear direction and integration are key.
Yeah.
It's not just about the talent pool.
Precisely. Having the best people is great, but they need a clear, unified goal to work towards. Otherwise, you risk wasting all that potential.
It really is a high-stakes game right now. For Meta, for OpenAI, honestly, for the whole trajectory of the AI industry, the decisions being made, the talent moving around, it's going to shape what comes next.
Fascinating to watch.
Okay, as we wrap up this deep dive, maybe here's something for you to think about. This crazy talent war shows just how incredibly valuable AI expertise is right now, especially for those who can manage these huge projects. But it does leave you wondering about Meta. Will spending billions to hoover up top talent actually lead to game-changing products if they can't sort out their internal strategy? You know, across AI, open source, the metaverse, does it all fit together?
Yeah. It's a reminder, isn't it, that even the most aggressive hiring spree might not guarantee success if the underlying strategic vision isn't clear and unified. Something to keep an eye on. And hey, before you go, do check out that Huiwang History of China series on Amazon. Seriously good reading. Thanks for tuning in.